Hi everyone. Today we're going to look at the interpretation tool. I know that I framed it with Unit 2, Day 5 for 11th grade, but the beginning of this is just, especially the first video, we're just going to speak about the interpretation tool itself, and then we're going to take a deeper look using the lesson in Unit 2, Grade 5 in Louisiana Purchase. Today it's more like this video, what is this tool? So the interpretation tool, here it is. In the historical thinking tools and analysis strategies in Passport to Social Studies, they give an example of how it works with specific questions, and then they give an empty interpretation tool. Notice it says insert document, including title, context, and citation, meaning your teacher can use this for however they need it, put in the source, and there's a whole bunch of different strategies and then different questions. See, here they are, that your teachers can work with. So the question is, what is this? What is this? Where are we going with this? And believe it or not, I need to start by speaking about two books. And you're like, why is she speaking about books? Especially these are books that were actually written by researchers in social studies education, by the name, from professor by the name of Peter Seixas, and another historian and researcher by the name of Sam Weinberg. They're both education professors. They're the ones who really started to push people to use historical thinking skills, or as this tool calls it, historical thinking strategies. Why they call it strategies, more in a minute. Meaning, most people think of history as like a bunch of stuff you need to know. But the push now, and that's part of the reason we've been working on all these skills, is okay, so what made historians say what they say? And but more important, how do they say what they say? So the purpose of this interpretation tool is to sort of do that. The tool, it says, is intended to help you read and interpret a document to answer a historical question. So there's 4 steps to the tool. You're going to look at the strategies, figure out which one works for a specific source. They're explained in the left column. We'll go there soon. And then you're going to read the document in the middle column, including the title and context and citation. And then finally, you're going to reread it and write down the strategies you think they use. So basically, you're going to apply a strategy or two, and then you're going to explain in the third column why you did that. And then last step, there's going to be short answer questions at the end of this document. Part of this exercise is to get you ready for some of the things you're going to have to do on the Regent, but right now we're going to try to act like historians, okay? Strategies you might use while reading a document or a source. Okay, so now they give you a whole series of strategies. I don't think your teacher is going to ask you to go through all the strategies, and the reason, by the way, that they're called strategies is because they're not all technically the thinking, I'm putting this in quotes, skills that research works with. There's a little bit of some other things mixed in. I broke down the possible skills, okay? And we're going to look through them, and I'm going to explain to you what it is your teacher might ask you. Again, they'll probably only ask you 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of them, because historians don't necessarily work with everything at the same time. Depends what they're looking for and where they're going. So the first one, and you'll probably have to do this all the time, and remember I just told you you're not going to have to do a lot. You may have to do this with other things, these first 2 layers, think of it that way, is identifying the account. Meaning, what is the account date? Sorry that this cursor is in the middle. I just want to have the highlight on it. Account date and origin of the document. What basic information do we have about this source? Account date, origin of the document. And again, this is a layer that you're probably going to always have. As with the next one, attributing to the author. To attribute is to give credit. Who wrote or spoke the document or the source? When you jump to sourcing the document over here, you're probably going to already go now on a deeper level, and you may have this with something else. What is the point of view, purpose for creating, and potential bias? This is kind of like, if you may have seen another skill video on this, the sourcing and evaluating reliability tool. If you notice, you're sourcing the document here. It's kind of like the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and how does this author or speaker see something. Evaluating reliability, once you come up with that, how accurate is the source and why do you say that? Next, You may be asked to read closely for details, and that's a different point beyond the historical thinking skills. What evidence does the source provide? Meaning, how does this source back up an argument you might make? We got two more. Okay, we have two more. Identifying the author's claim. What statement about the past does the author make that they support with evidence? It's kind of connected to reading closely for details and for sourcing the document, if you think about that. And finally, contextualization, which is a major historical thinking skill. How might time and place of the document's creation play a role in how you understand it? Okay, so this is a lot. Again, I told you, your teacher may only pick, probably after these first two, some of these. They're not going to ask you to do all of them because that's not the purpose. The purpose here is to get you to, remember, interpret something. Okay, this is an interpretation tool, okay, to get you to think like a historian. The last step in the activity is usually going to be questions that your teacher will tailor or work around, recreate for you. Like, for example, if you were trying to find out about whatever it is, obviously we're going to Louisiana Purchase, in what specific ways does this account or this source help you find an answer to the question? There may be a larger question that doesn't necessarily connect to the source that's part of a bigger picture with long-term causes. You may have to make like two connections. Next question you would be asked, is this account reliable for discovering or figuring out or proving? If so, how, why, or why not? And then number three, which historical thinking strategy best help you interpret this document? So it's a little complicated, but if you kind of go back and think about this, you will do an amazing job. You got this, right? Next video, we're going to actually dive in and try this. Can we do it? I think so.